Hello, good evening. How difficult is it to leave the Legion of Christ and move to a diocese in the Catholic Church? Paul Lennon here with another of my taped episodes, number 40. And I'm still in chapter 13 of my autobiography, but today I've got something that's not is not part of the written autobiography. I just came upon it a few days ago, and I want to share it with you. It is actually a letter I sent to Monsignor Hickey, Archbishop of Washington, way back in the day in 1985. Now, and hopefully today we can be short and sweet. We were talking before about letters between myself and Father Maciel, and it seems that after that letter that Father Maciel wrote me, whenever it was in February of the undetermined date, and so forth, I think I laid things to rest for the moment. In other words, I said, I'm not going to answer Father Maciel. So that was a decision, and it was a self-affirming decision, an assertive decision to say, okay, Father Maciel is not giving me much at the moment. He seems to be making things more complicated, or maybe I thought that. Anyway, it was part of this tug-of-war with him and my maybe getting on his nerves or whatever. We're playing a tug-of-war with the Legion just for kind of, almost for fun. Maybe I was a little sick, but forgive me. So I didn't write any more letters to Father Maciel for the moment. I kind of started finding my own way of the Diocese of Washington. I had my stuff going on. And this letter, which I wrote to, I just found in my collection, from October the 3rd, 1985. So this is almost what, April, what was it? March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. 8 months after writing to Father Maciel. So I was in the diocese. I was working away. I was by that time I was in St. Matthew's Cathedral. I believe I got my assignment on the 1st of July, which was the regular way to do things, and I was settling in to my life there at that particular rectory, which I've described to you before on Rhode Island Avenue. It's the Catholic Washington Cathedral, which is a very simple church, as I say, in the Italianate style, and a very mixed community because it's right in the middle of Washington, just off Connecticut Avenue. And so a lot of people working in the government would go there, etc. Lawyers, a lot of lawyers, etc., and so forth, office workers. And they were the beneficiaries of my weekday homilies. Right? I sometimes had the 12 o'clock Mass a couple of days a week, or I don't know how many days a week, and I would give my little 5-minute homily, which was a good test. I really enjoyed that, and people seemed to like it. Anyway, His Excellency Monsignor James J. Hickey, Archbishop of Washington. Dear Monsignor Hickey, you may have received by now the letter I wrote on September the 14th, the day of the ordinations at the cathedral. I don't have that letter. I did not stay for this ceremony because I did not feel comfortable, perhaps because of where I'm coming from. Right now, I would like to repeat what I said then and add a few more items. Before inquiring into the exact nature of diocesan policy regarding help for continuing education, I registered and was admitted for the present semester to the Catholic University of America in the Department of Education, Counseling. It was something I really and freely wanted to do, and I considered it useful as a way of working through my difficulties, part of which is not knowing what I really want. I'm sorry I did not ask for your formal and previous consent, as seems to be the policy. Father English, priest personnel, was dubious about whether in my present circumstances I would be eligible for funding. I would like you to clarify this to me or to him. I am quite open to facing up to the responsibility of paying for my own studies. Little comment here. I remember approaching Catholic University, so it must have been in September of that year, at the beginning of the semester, fall semester, and going to to the admissions department and telling them who I was and all that kind of thing. And they asked me what my previous studies were. Excuse me. And I told them I had a MA in philosophy and MA in theology from the Gregorian University. I thought by going to Catholic University, I'd have more of a chance of getting my previous studies, certified and recognized. But very politely, they told me that my previous studies, was something like that they could accept it as a BA, which was a little shock for me, coming down to earth again, coming out of the Legion bubble, we of the privileged few, and that would be okay. All right, Father, if you'd like it. We can accept your BA. You could enter the master's program, but first we'd like you to pass an entrance exam. That was a little bit. I hadn't studied in the United States, so I was a little bit shocked about that. But it was it was kind of like a general knowledge exam, and a test of your intellectual, shall we say, capacity more than anything else. Anything else was like synonyms and antonyms and all kinds of fancy things like that, which was okay. I did pass, thank goodness, and I was admitted to the Department of Education in counseling. I don't think I could enter the Department of Psychology, which I would have liked to have entered. That was my kind of like my goal, but I didn't have a BA in psychology. Many degrees, I didn't have a BA in psychology, so I couldn't take a master's in psychology. Anyway, there we go. As regards my health, Archbishop at that time, Archbishop Hickey, I took assessment tests offered by Continuing Education. I think this was through the Archdiocese, and run by the Center for Human Development. I was glad to find out that I wasn't totally crazy. I continue weekly counseling with Peter Foley, a spiritual director at Madonna House, Capitol Hill. That was where Peter had his, hung out his shingle. Madonna House. It was actually a very interesting apostolate there. Also, I believe there were kind of like young women with promises to serve the Lord. I'm not quite sure in what way, but they had a house there on Capitol Hill. At Madonna House, which I am also paying for. I feel I have been assisted in coming out of the deep depression I was in when I arrived in February. So, good news. From time to time, I become impatient and would like to have everything worked out. But I know this would be too much to ask so soon after years of anxiety, fear and confusion. I feel that the steps I have taken over the past 6 months have been positive as I move towards clarification and deliberation in my options. There has been sufficient time, space, and serenity to assimilate my departure from the congregation of the Legionaries of Christ. I am grateful for all I received and sufficiently realistic to see that it was no longer my place. Perhaps it was unfortunate that I should have taken so long, 23 years, to realize this. But I can learn from my procrastination to be more assertive, and I know that the arms of divine providence are wide and all-embracing. Just as I am coming out of this immediate and recent crisis, I am faced with another dilemma, it seems, that of asking for incarnation to the Archdiocese of Washington. Here again I seek your paternal advice. And this was a double-edged sword, because you'll see why I was asking for incarnation, or kind of, I'm negotiating now like a great negotiator, like a great negotiator, like a great, foreign negotiator, foreign ambassador. So I'm asking for his paternal advice. My tourist visa expires in November, so I will either have to leave the country for a while or apply for change of status. Change of status would be easier to achieve if the Archdiocese were willing to accept me under my present circumstances, in which I do not at present have clarity about my long-term future, but am willing to continue honestly reviewing my priestly commitment. So I'm being very honest, and I'm doing this balancing act with everybody. With the Legion, I've kind of put them on hold for a moment. Now I'm doing the balancing act with the Archdiocese of Washington. Now, something that I didn't realize, that when I was moving from the Yucatan to the United States, I approached somebody at the consulate in Merida, and this was an American lady, and she listened to me, she interviewed me, and I was asking for a visa, I believe, to get to enter the United States, as some kind of a tourist, I suppose. Now, what I didn't know was that she not only gave me a tourist visa, she gave me a kind of a visa, I think it's called J or something, whereby I was considered a religious minister. I was so depressed, confused, that I don't think I realized that at the time. So she was really doing me a great favor. I was a padre, so there's a special visa for being a minister, of worship. And it gives you a little kind of a leg up on the permanent, what is it called, resident status. And that was to serve me well later on, but I was still pretty confused about this. This may seem a tremendously complicated way of putting things, and it may be part of lingering depression and anxiety, but it is an effort to be honest with myself and with you. I want to do all in my power to look before I leap this time, and to avoid a state of indecision, half-hearted commitment, and anxiety, which I endured for so many years owing to lack of freedom and discernment. Taking responsibility and trying to be realistic. Last paragraph. I'm willing to stay at St. Matthew's, fulfilling my priestly duties as I have been doing since July the 1st. It is embarrassing to be somewhat depressed and to lack the zest and energy I know I can regain. Here again I must be patient, and as I look back over the confusion of the past years and the utter turmoil of a year ago, I feel so fortunate and grateful for the helping hands I have encountered, which have helped me make my way and find my feet. So hands and feet. I really appreciate the concern, space, and facilities I've been given so generously, which have been like a breath of fresh air through the window of my life. Hoping to hear from you or through your cooperators. Yours sincerely, Paul Lennon. Hope you enjoyed that. Gives you an idea. I want to dedicate this to all the priests, legionary priests, who have transitioned from the Legion to the diocesan priesthood. Some of those have left, like me, but a good many have persevered. But these men have a great, strong vocation. They made the transition from the Legion into the diocesan clergy. They have my heartfelt admiration, and I know some of them, and I consider them my friends. I'm very privileged to have these good priests as my friends, as my confreres, and as my priestly support. Their prayers, which my prayers also share with them. We are now a community in a different time, a different place. Thank you.